put it, have it on, yeah. Mute off. Good, okay. So before we start tonight's council meeting, I'd like to just say a few words concerning the state of the pandemic in South Dundas and how we've been handling it. As most people know, we are now in the orange sector of the color-coded restriction levels. I'd like to thank all the businesses that endured the lockdown. I know it wasn't easy, but it was something that the Premier and his advisors recommended, and I do believe it was the right thing to do. We still have cases in South Dundas, 3 as of today. I want everybody to be well aware that COVID is not gone. Always keep it in the back of your mind. As far as I know, we don't have variants in our area, but if they ever do, it will be not just twice as scary. I think it's going to be beyond scary. So keep your close contacts small. I know council's meeting in chambers tonight, but we're all distancing and doing our best to keep healthy. So on behalf of myself and council, please do your best to stay safe and stay healthy. With that, I'd like to call the 76th meeting of the 7th Council Municipality South Dundas meeting to order. Confirmation of agenda. Madam Clerk, first.
Mr. Mayor, tonight we have amendments 8E and 8H from the consent agenda will go to discussion items. We were going to delete the shoreline restoration project. They have decided Morrisburg Waterfront Committee will do it at a later date. They're not ready right now. And under discussion, we had a communication plan. We will remove that until we can do it at a committee of the whole for more of a discussion, deeper discussion. And we'd like to add Truck 103 update to discussion items as well.
Okay. Is there any additions, deletions, or amendments from any member of council this evening? Seeing none, any disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. The adoption of minutes, please, from February 1 and February 8th, please.
Moved by Councillor Lewis, second by Deputy Mayor Gardner, that the minutes of the 73rd regular and in-camera meetings and the 74th special and in-camera meetings of council be adopted as circulated.
Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, I'll hear the motion. Those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion carries. On to delegations. Tonight we have Steve Morrow with us via WebEx. Welcome, Steve. Tonight he's going to present to council his idea for a BMX bike park in South Dundas. So, Steve, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, council and staff members. First, I'd like to introduce you to my son Kai, and it's actually his idea to try to increase the mountain bike possibilities for youth and for everybody in the area. So without further ado, here's Kai to introduce himself.
Hello, I'm Kai. I'm in grade 7 at St. Mary, St. Cecilia.
Do you want to talk about your project? So Kai's a little nervous, and he's got a big robot project on the go right now. So I'm going to help describe the program or our idea to you. Essentially, we would like to build some trails to help facilitate non-motorized recreation in South Dundas. We had some plans that we talked to Deputy Mayor Gardner about building something called a pump track within the town. But due to some time constraints and deadlines and applications for grants and stuff, we're sort of behind the 8 ball on it. So what we've decided is that we could simplify the project, and in and around Hosick Creek, we'd like to build a loop or a series of loops for mountain biking that take advantage of the natural terrain down through the creek and up and around the forest that's in that area. I showed Austin today a map of the area and what we were thinking, so he's got somewhat of an idea of the location. We'd like to think it's a work in progress, where if we could get a project started, it's something that we could build upon year over year and get more people involved, and then branch the trails into DuPont Forest, and then perhaps use them through the wintertime for things like snowshoeing, Nordic skiing, or fat biking or walking. We really don't need very much from council other than your blessing and permission to use the land. We've got a pretty solid team of volunteers that have all stepped forward with varying levels of expertise to help us execute the program. We're not looking for any money either. We'd like to do it on our own accord. There's lots of funds out there that once we have an established project that we can apply to make the project bigger and better. But we're really not looking for taxpayer money to build nor maintain the trails. As far as supplies and things that we need, we'd look after that ourselves with our team of volunteers and hopefully with some help from other people in the community. Our timeline that we're looking at is, if we can get some positive feedback from you, we would like to get planning as soon as possible. And then as far as the physical component, we'd really like to start as soon as the weather would allow and the terrain would allow people to get in there and start to build some trails. And then we would like to maintain it and build it so that there's a group of volunteers that just continues this over the course of time. It's a project that I think is born somewhat out of COVID, because there's an increased appetite for people to get outside and take advantage of their own community, seeing as travel is quite limited. And we were affected by that. Some of the things that we really enjoy to do, we can't do because we can't get to the places we normally would. And we really felt that there was a void in South Dundas for this type of a project. When we looked into things a little bit more, there's a lot of companies and a lot of groups that really want to help fund projects like this to get it off the ground, so that areas that are underserved with outdoor rec can get a project established. And that's where the project was stemmed from. And really, although my silent partner here isn't saying too much, he's really the person that dreamed up the idea, and I just helped him put things together. So in a nutshell, that's our plan. But you had touched on something, Mayor, about shore restoration. And when we snowshoed in and around that area, there is some shoreline erosion, and we're aware of some living edge programs through the River Institute that we would love to build on that, where we help to plant some trees and some vegetation and help to rehabilitate the area, and let's get it used. Let's get out there and be able to take advantage of some of the land that's just sitting there not doing very much. So we'll let you guys ask some questions if you have any, and we'll do our best to answer them.
Okay, thank you, Steve. I'll turn it over to Council. Mayor Gardner, please.
Thanks, Mayor Byvelds. Hi, Kai. Hi, Steve. So Kai sent a beautiful presentation to me last year. So well done. I couldn't believe whenever I found out how old he was. And you know, I think this project, I said right from the start, goes with youth engagement. And we had early on in our term, we had that youth engagement report about ways to engage our youth. And it's pretty incredible to have someone Kai's age step forward with an idea and want to make some community project improve our community. So kudos to you. Quite interesting. It's evolving, which is nice. And I know that Steve and Kai wanted to present sooner and got bumped, but I'm curious now with the evolution of this project. I think there might be some interesting things that the municipality can do. Steve, is it correct? Like I know with mountain biking that mountain bikers have a really hard time finding places where they're welcome to drive, to ride. I know that a place like the Bird Sanctuary, for instance, does not want mountain bikes tearing up their tracks. So there's a real need for this, correct?
I would agree with that, but it's becoming easier and better with a lot of municipalities, places like North Bay and Sudbury, Sault Ste. Marie, have all really invested heavily in trying to get areas where bikes can go. But of equal concern, I guess, is not just that there might not be places for us to go, but we don't want to have to combat an ATV or a dirt bike because that just gets somewhat dangerous. I know Limerick Forest has some trails, but you're really wrestling with ATVs, horses, and dirt bikes. And what we were hoping to have something really dedicated so that someone can be on their bike and not worry about a dirt bike and not worry about a horse.
Yeah.
Really kind of not worry about running into a walker either.
Yeah.
And not to say that walkers can't use it, but somewhere where a bike can know confidently, I'm not going to come into contact with something risky.
Yeah. If I may, Mayor, I think it's a great project to open up for discussion. I think that there's even a potential for a wonderful partnership with DuPont Provincial Park. I know I worked in partnership a long time ago with the municipality on a cleanup project in that area with DuPont Provincial Park. And I don't know, Steve, if my last question is, have you had any opportunity to speak to the superintendent? It used to be for DuPont Provincial Park, it was the superintendent of Voyageur Provincial Park was in charge of that area. So it would be interesting to have kind of a conversation around that as well, because I know that they look for partnerships.
One of the members that we came into contact with for the project has been in contact with DuPont in the past. And they were very much in favor of building trails for non-motorized recreation within the park. Specifically for us, I have not and Kai has not, but they're one of the members that we've been in contact with absolutely has, and they are very much in favor.
Great, thanks, Mayor. Thank you.
Councilor Wells.
Hi, Steve and Kai. Yeah, it's a doable thing. I think it's very, very good. There's definitely a lot of factors to be taken into. Over at where you're proposing to put this, over by you're going from the water treatment plant down to the highway, just along, basically up to Crookshank's property, and starting your thing in there, if I'm correct, Steve?
That's accurate.
So we'll start in that. And to carry on with those, the trails with DuPont. Now, is that, it's not DuPont, it would be Parks Canada, wouldn't it? Or the provincial park that owns it, so you would be through them? Okay. I'm definitely all for something like this. There's a lot of legal stuff we would have to go through as far as insurances for municipal property and stuff like that. But after getting all by the red tape, I think it's brilliant that Kai came up, and I agree with Deputy Mayor with the youth engagement. Like, it's a beautiful thing, and hey, if something like this will work, I'm all for it. If we get all our T's crossed and I's dotted, I'm definitely for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Lewis.
Kai, I think you did a fantastic presentation through your father. I'm proud of him. I do believe that this is a good thing. Hopefully we can do it. The only question that I have, Stephen or Kai, when the kids are on the ride, are they going to have adult supervision because they're close to the water?
It's a great question. And honestly, these are things that are going to have to get ironed out on what the liability and legality of things are with South Dundas. I think realistically, there's got to be some age considerations where if you're below whatever certain age that you're going to need adult supervision, and then if you're older than a certain age, then you can go ahead and use without adults. And I'm not sure what that magic age is, and I guess counselors and staff, you could help us sort stuff like that out. But that's a great question, and I think you're right. For certain ages, adult supervision in the area is absolutely necessary.
Yes, I believe that. You know, if they're under 9 or 10 or maybe even 12, they should have adult supervision, because I really wouldn't want to see something happen that shouldn't happen. You know, maybe a kid accidentally falls off his BMX and lands in the water, and the poor child can't swim. Well, we know what's going to happen there. But I think it's a fantastic start, and we'll have a little discussion amongst us, but we'll see what the rigmarole is, and I'm all in favor of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Mellon.
Yes, I like to congratulate Kai. I really think it shows some initiative on your part to step up and, you know, spearhead this. So kudos for you. You've done, I like Deputy Mayor Gardner said, it's really great to see. I know I've seen it, I've been up in Tremblant, and they have mountain bike trails through the mountains around Tremblant. It tires me out just to look at it. So if you get this one over here, I might even try it. I've seen them at BMX bikes around Fallowfield in Ottawa. There's a track in there I've gone by several times. I think the potential's there, and obviously the logistics have to be ironed out, like Councillor Wells has already mentioned, with the insurance and maybe with the shoreline and the age. But surely we can look at something. I think hey. Let's have the discussion and see where it takes us, and let's hope you can get your trail or your bike path. And trust me, I won't be on it, but I may come out and look at it. But that'll be it. So, very well done, Kai. And I really think it's great that we have the young people taking the initiative on something like this. Good for you.
We had the luxury of having a fair number of friends down in the Adirondacks, and they're not strangers to building this type of thing, and some of our acquaintances are on the board of something called the Beta Trail Network, and they've really built every single track mountain bike, cross country ski, snowshoe, fat bike, hiking trail, and they've built them and maintained them, and they're acquaintances of ours, and I think using some of their wisdom and guidance on how they manage risk and how they manage age and how they build the trails and how they maintain it, I think we can use them for some guidance. And we just learned about North Bay investing a ton of time and money into these, and I think talking to them and seeing what their experience has been and using them as for some guidance could be quite helpful as well.
Okay, anything further? Okay. I concur with council, and I do thank Kai and yourself for bringing this idea to South Dundas. It shows great initiative, and as council has said, it's something more tailored for the youth of our area than just looking after the adults, which we tend to focus on a little bit too much. So what we'll do is we'll ask staff, and from what I understand, you've already had some discussions with Austin to bring a report back to council, and if there's any bugs or issues that we need to deal with, we'll deal with it at that time. But it's a good start, and we look forward to seeing this thing in fruition sometime down the road. I know I like your idea, small steps is better than trying to do it all at once, and I do thank you for bringing that project to council.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Okay. Back to regular council meeting. We have no action requests today, so we'll be going right into bylaws. First bylaw is 2021-11, zoning bylaw amendment, re-cannabis.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Gardner, second by Councillor Lewis, that bylaw number 2021-11, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 2010-48, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
So Nicole, you on tonight?
I am on it. I believe Aaron is on as well.
And Aaron, I don't... Welcome, Aaron.
Yes, good evening. Hello. So we do have the cannabis bylaw. This will, this is for the entire municipality of South Dundas. It includes an amendment to the definition for agricultural use, which adds cannabis cultivation. We also have included a definition for air treatment control and for cannabis processing facility, as well as there is a section for the general provisions for cannabis processing facility, which includes various provisions for this use of land. It also amends section 8.1, which is the light industrial zone, and section 8.2, the general industrial zone, by permitting cannabis processing facility within those zones. Thank you.
Okay, so council is fully aware of the public meeting we had last week, that the public gave us their thoughts and concerns over this bylaw, and of course the other three that we will be dealing with, and we've also had a few more comments since then. So taking into consideration when you make your decision on this, and we'll basically go around the table. Deputy Mayor Gardner, please.
Yes, I've looked at the comments. I think that this is a good start. I think one of the things I would like to add whenever we do this bylaw is a pretty aggressive communication plan to the public, discussing what the roles are of different levels of government. Because I did hear loud and clear on that public discussion that lots of our residents think that we have this overriding power that can just make this stuff disappear, and we don't. So that's really having gone through the process with this particular item, I really think that a pretty rigorous communication plan to the public, letting them know what each level of government's responsibility in this whole problem is. So that's my only comment.
Councilor Wells?
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. Thank you, Mary. Yeah, the comment Deputy Mayor had about informing the public, they made it well that they like to know, and it's a lot of it's out of our hands, but we can try to let them know somewhat what what's going to go on. As far as the bylaw goes, I think it's a very good step for. I think we got pretty much everything covered. There's probably going to be loopholes that we might see, but as far as this goes, I'm liking this bylaw, and I think it'll give us the control we need. As far as like the public meeting, we've seen all the comments, and like I think it was brought to everyone's attention that 95% of this is out of our hands as far as licensing with Health Canada, Ministry of Environment, and that. And like I said, like Deputy Mayor said, we'll try the best to get as much information out there as we can. But at the end of the day, we can only do so much. So I really like this bylaw, and I think it's definitely in the right step. So thank you, Mayor.
Councilor Lewis?
Thank you, Mayor. I agree with my fellow councillors. I read the comments, listened to the comments, listened to the concerns from the open meeting. And as the one gentleman said, he believes that this bylaw is a very, very good start. He seemed quite impressed with it. And I really didn't see a lot of negativity. The people know it is what it is. We can only do so much, and then it goes to the upper tier. But I think that this bylaw is a good start for South Dundas, and I definitely will support it. Thank you. Thanks, Mayor.
Councilor Mellon.
I don't think there's anything I can add to what hasn't been said here tonight by my fellow councilors and Deputy Mayor, and what was said at the zoning meeting. The only, I guess, burr I still have under my saddle is if a license was obtained under false pretenses or that wasn't totally legal or upfront, that we look closely at that before we issue any building permits or whatever. But some of that is out of our hands if the ministry above us issues a license. But unfortunately, that's out of our hands, and as been mentioned, there's only so much we have jurisdiction over. But any facility that was shut down because of illegal activities, I personally don't think should ever get I don't believe in the 2 strikes you're out. You had 1, you're out. But anyways, we'll let Health Canada deal with that because they're the licensing body on this. So there's nothing more I want to add, Mayor Byvells.
Well, as council has said, this is a good. I say it's more than a good start. I think we've done our best to cover cannabis cultivation and processing in South Dundas to the best of our ability within what we can do as a municipal council. The agricultural use, I think, is going to be a challenge for us all the time, and how people who want to do something will stretch the rules as far as they can. I know it was we certainly heard that it was an issue, especially at the Rowena Shaver Road site that caused a lot of issues, and also the other one that at Flagon too. As for what Deputy Mayor Gardner alluded to, giving info to the public, I was actually on a municipal website that actually had a cannabis section within it and described who did what. I think it was a good way of educating the public of what everyone's role is within it, Health Canada, the province of Ontario, and then us as a municipality, and what we can do. And if it's done right and done legally, there's not much we can do with it beyond what we've tried to do tonight. If someone's doing something illegal, it's nothing any different than speeding or putting up a building without a permit. People will do their best, and this being a high-price industry is always going to challenge us. So I do believe we've done the best we can, and we will certainly monitor it over the next 2 years to see if there's anywhere else we need to fix if we can. Anything further from any member of council on this? You've all heard the motion. Those in favor of the motion? Those opposed? Motion carries. Next zoning bylaw amendment is short-term rentals.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Gardner, second by Councillor Lewis, that bylaw number 2021-12, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 2010-48, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Aaron, go ahead, please.
Thank you. This proposed bylaw does again address impact the entire municipality of South Dundas. It proposes a definition for short-term rentals, requires 1 parking space per guest room, and includes a section within the general provision sections for short-term rentals.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Gardner?
Thanks, Mayor Byvelds. Again, it was a good discussion at the public meeting. Lots of good points brought forward. I am in agreement with the majority of the public that's in favor of Airbnbs and the positive ways it can impact not only tourism but economic development for all of South Dundas. And actually there's some that we've gotten feedback from that actually don't want a bylaw. So I think this bylaw is a good start as Airbnbs become more popular in South Dundas. I think it speaks to all of South Dundas, not just specific ones. And I think that it should never. I would never want my intent to be to choke people's willingness to invest in South Dundas, visit South Dundas, start a business in South Dundas. So I think this bylaw speaks to some of our safety concerns around buildings and structures, and I think that it's a good start. And again, I agree with the majority of the public.
Councilor Wells.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I can just agree with Deputy Mayor there. The public meeting was very, very good. Like, we heard what the public wants. They like the short-term rentals. It's good for our community. It brings in income, the economical part, like everything's good. Like, I think it's a good start. The bylaws good. I think we got pretty much everything covered. And like I said, it was a very, very good public meeting. The public wants it, so I'm all for this bylaw. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilor Lewis, please.
I also agree. After the public meeting, there seemed to be more positive thinking than negativity. I think this bylaw makes everything very clear with the rules and regulations. So I will support it. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilor Mellon.
Can't add anything that hasn't been said either tonight or the other night, Mayor Bybills.
Okay, and yes, I think short-term rentals are here. I think we in South Dundas have to face the fact that they do add to our economic base and have a good potential to bring new people to South Dundas once they visit our area. And as council is aware, this is step one where we do the zoning requirements for them. The next one will be coming back from bylaw concerning licensing and any other code requirements that need to be done, so from a safety point of view. So, but we need to do this first, make sure we establish that regulation. So agree with the majority from South Dundas. Not everyone's in agreement, but I think the agreement was certainly loud and clear tonight at the public meeting. Anything further from council? Seeing none, all heard the motion. Those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion carries. Next one, 2021-13, zoning bylaw amendment for signs.
Moved by Councillor Lewis, second by Deputy Mayor Gardner, that bylaw number 2021-13, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 2010-48, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Aaron?
Thank you. So again, this proposed zoning bylaw amendment does affect the entire, all lands within the municipality of South Dundas. We amend the definition of a legal sign and then add provisions to the general provision sign section, which is 3.33. And we do include provisions with regards to illuminated signs. And that piece was updated based off comments received by the public last week at the public meeting.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Gardner.
Thanks, Mayor Bybills. I think this is a good start. It's a housekeeping item to catch up with some of the events that have been going on, and I'm okay with this bylaw.
Councilor Wells.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, we had good discussions over this, and yeah, it's I support this bylaw, and it's like I said, we had lots of discussions about it, so I think we're heading down the right road for this bylaw. Thank you.
Councilor Lewis.
No, I have no questions on this bylaw. Thank you.
Councilor Mellon.
Ditto.
Okay. I agree, you know, signs have to be in the proper spot, not interfering with the neighbors. I think that's the key to this bylaw. If there's nothing else from council, I'll hear the motion. Those in favor, opposed, if any, motion carries. Twenty 2021-14 zoning bylaw amendment, additional residential units.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Gardner, second by Councillor Lewis, that bylaw number 2021-14, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 2010-48, be read and passed in open, council signed and sealed.
Aaron?
Thank you. This proposed zoning bylaw amendment, again, affects all lands within the boundaries of the municipality of South Dundas. And it does bring the zoning bylaw into conformity with the Planning Act. It removes accessory apartments from the zoning bylaw, and it adds a definition for additional residential units, as well as provisions within the general provisions section for additional residential units. It also requires 1 parking space per additional residential unit. As well, the residential first density zone, residential hamlet zone, which is sections 5.1 and 5.5, are amended to remove accessory apartment use from those zones.
Okay, so this is a zoning bylaw amendment to bring South Dundas into alignment with the Planning Act, as Aaron has stated. Is there any comments or concerns from council at this time? Seeing none, I'll hear the motion. Those in favor, opposed, if any, motion carries. Okay, next bylaw 2021-15. Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Water tower debenture bylaw.
Moved by Councillor Lewis, second by Deputy Mayor Gardner, that bylaw number 2021-15, being a bylaw to authorize borrowing upon amortizing debentures in the principal amount of $1,056,051.71 towards the Morseburg and Iroquois Water Tower Rehabilitation Project, be read and passed in open, council signed and sealed.
Sarah?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is the final bylaw coming to Council for approval to proceed with the loan from Infrastructure Ontario for the rehab project. In my report, it states that the closing date is March 12th, but I've received a revised date from Infrastructure Ontario. So the closing date is actually March 1st, and the interest rate on the loan is 2%. I can answer any questions Council has.
Okay, so council understands this is for the water tower. We had that discussion on how we were going to finance it. This is one big part. Any comments, questions, or concerns?
I just had one.
Councillor Wells?
Rate was lower than 2% at the beginning, wasn't it?
Yes, that's correct. So whenever I originally got the quotes from Infrastructure Ontario, the rate was 1.85%. So that was the lending rates for the day, but they do fluctuate day to day.
They do. They're based,
No, I know.
They're based on market. Whatever day the market, they go get it.
I thought maybe the municipality could maybe get like you sign it up for a couple weeks prior till we make our decision, but anyways, all good. It's out of our hands.
Anything further, Councillor Mellon?
Yeah, maybe you can clarify me, Sarah. I mean, I have no problem with this, but the debenture will be paid back from the water and sewer users?
That's correct.
It doesn't mention it anywhere in here. We don't need this mentioned in our, that's quite a little novel, that debenture document, which is great and fine and dandy for a lawyer, but it doesn't mention, I didn't see anywhere in there where the money will be
No,
coming
we
back
don't-
from us. Like it'll be
Sorry,
coming
we
out of
don't
water
have
and sewer
to
users.
tell them how we're paying for, like how we intend on paying for the loan in these documents. But it will come through the water and sewer budget whenever we go through that.
Okay. Thank you, sir. That's all.
Anything here? Okay, all heard motion. Those in favor? Opposed, if any, motion carries. Next one, 2021-16 HGC Management Inc. Agreement.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Gardner, second by Councillor Lewis, that bylaw number 2021-16, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with HGC Management Incorporated for the collection and disposal of curbside recycling and waste be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Danielle?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So this bylaw is just a contract execution document. So Council has seen this, they've awarded this RFP in 2020. So this is just confirming that we'll be entering into this agreement. We have received all the necessary contract documents from HGC management. So we're just looking for Council to execute the agreement. So this new service will begin May 1st and it will last for 7 years and 8 months. And in that time we can re-enter a different contract, or we can change our level of service. If there's any questions, I can answer them at this point.
Any comments, questions, concerns from council on this? Councillor Wells?
Danielle, did you say 7 years or 7 months? Years?
So through you, Mayor Vivalds, it would be for 7 years and 8 months. So it's a long-term service contract.
Which we can, okay.
The idea behind it was to allow a company to go buy vehicles and service us for a certain amount of time. That's how the contract.
So what happens if we don't get our 40,000 cubic ton expansion and stuff like that, and all the stuff that we have, our roll-off containers that we might be, like, am I missing something here? Because I'm not really following this, if I am.
Can you explain all the intricacies if things go south?
Yeah, so through you, Mr. Mayor, the RFP that council approved in 2020 does have a series of we call contingency plans inside of it. So if the Matilda landfill were to close, the municipality has the right to determine where the waste would go with the new contractor. However, that would be a renegotiation of contract, and that would come back to council at that time for approval. So like I said, the basis of this contract is the RFP that you approved in 2020 for the 7 years and 8 months, but there are contingencies within the RFP that you approved last year that we can amend this agreement, but if we choose to amend it, that would come back to council at that time for you to review and approve.
Understand?
Yeah, I follow it, but was I gone at the time when this was all approved for the 7 years to go on the contract?
When was the first contract brought to council?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the contract was approved in July of 2020 through council. I don't know if Councillor Wells was present at the meeting, but it was approved at the July 2020 meeting.
Okay.
So the reasoning behind the 7 years and 8 months, as the mayor has indicated, is when we ask for new trucks, truck lifespan for waste disposal is about 7 years. So when we request new trucks, in order to keep the cost low to the taxpayer, 7 years is the standard length of a service contract for curbside collection of garbage and recycling.
Okay then. We already agreed to it, so it's not like we can back out of it. So I'll have to definitely go back over my notes because I didn't. Either I was not there, or I know we had the additional, like since we've been in council, that in the municipality's best of interest, that we could add additional. So we used up our 1 year or 2 years, I believe.
Yeah, I believe we did 2 years with Miller.
2 years. So then we went out for tender for.
Correct.
The thing. Okay. I just want to apologize to the public, but like I just kind of. I'll check my notes. Anyways, that's fine. It's just, I got to ask questions if I don't remember.
So for council's information, that action request came on Monday, June the 15th meeting, not July meeting. I pulled it out. So that's when we approved it, Councilor Wells. Anything further, Councilor
No,
Miller?
this gives us 7 years on our curbside pickup, but I mean, if things go south at Matilda, I mean, we'll have to renegotiate the contract to draw it from South Dundas to wherever we want to go. Little Flesh or, so.
And I'm sure we have an escape clause in there, right, for this? Like to get out of it?
And so through you, Mr. Mayor, there are contingent, like I said, there are contingency plans and exit clauses within the agreement. This agreement actually had pre-negotiated exit clause costs. So if council would like, I can circulate the pre-negotiated exit clauses. They are from year 1 to year 7. So if we wanted to exit this agreement at any time, there would be a payout to the contractor at that time with that pre-negotiated rate. It was a part of the package that was presented, and I apologize, it was presented in June. So I can recirculate that to council if they would like.
I would like to see that.
Okay, anything further from council? I know it's a long-term contract, Councilor Wells, but it's a pretty standard in the industry because of that. And I know we have, to be honest, things have evolved since we actually let the contract out over a year ago, so.
Okay,
Okay,
good to go.
if there's nothing else, I'll hear the motion. Those in favor? Opposed, if any, motion carries. Next one is 2021-17 dry hydrant agreement with North Dundas.
Moved by Councillor Lewis, second by Deputy Mayor Gardner, that bylaw number 2021-17, being a bylaw to repeal and replace bylaw number 2020-93, to execute an agreement with the Corporation of the Township of North Dundas for cost sharing and joint use of a dry hydrant, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Shannon?
Mayor and Council, so just a small change to the original agreement that was passed by Council back in 2020. In discussions with the counties at that time, they did not want to commit to an agreement with North Dundas or South Dundas, as they felt it would be an expectation of them to clean the snow around the dry hydrant. So in talking with North Dundas, we felt it was the best just to have an agreement between the two parties. Since then as well, we had an issue with the clearing of the snow back in January, and North Dundas has hired a local contractor to take care of it for the remaining of this year as well as next winter, and then as well enter into a 3-year contract moving forward. So just thought to clean things up for council to make them aware that this agreement will be just between the two local municipalities. So if there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them for you.
Okay, any comments, questions, concerns on this? A little bit of a cleanup?
The county part on this was just, if they could clean it, they would clean it, right? That area. They, other than the name putting in the wording of the agreement, they really didn't have, this cleans it up between us and North Dundas better, without the counties getting involved.
Okay, if there's nothing further, I'll hear the motion. Those in favor, opposed, if any, motion carries. Okay, consent agenda, please.
Moved by Councillor Mellon, second by Councillor Wells, that all items listed under general consent section of the agenda be adopted as presented, save and except for item 8E and 8H be moved to discussion items.
So this evening, we have a letter from the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks concerning the proclamation of the provisions of the CA Act. A letter from AMCTO. We also have a very nice thank you letter from the Winchester District Memorial Hospital Foundation concerning our $50,000 first installment for the Dundas Manor rebuild. We have a series of petitions from municipalities. We also have the Iroquois Waterfront Committee meeting minutes, a key information update on the new regular council meeting dates, a key information report on the Iroquois Cenotaph relocation, a key information report on municipal co-op students, a key information report on the Morseburg Arena opening, and then monthly activity reports from economic development, water, wastewater, fire and emergency services, building and planning, environmental services, transportation, finance, administration. We've all heard the motion. Those in NCAO. Sorry, all heard the motion. Those in favor, opposed, if any, motion carries. Almost forgot somebody. Okay, boards, committees, discussion items, county councils first. I am ready for it. I just gotta go to the right page because I actually wrote notes, considering it was 3 days of county council. Okay, so county council met on last Tuesday during the morning. Highlights of the county council meeting, SDG, OPP came for a delegation. They're looking for support for the mental health nurse that the county's financed last year. It was a great success, and thanks to Deputy Mayor Gardner for her push to get council support for that in 2020. We had a significant amount of reserve funds to transfer, which were used in the budget. There's a forecast that SEG will have all funds in reserve for the Dundas and Maxwell Manors, which is 4.5 and 2 million respectively. So we feel good that we've got that money set aside. 2 tenders that South Dundas was involved in on centerline painting and specialty paint markings. Our budgeted items are a little over 6,000 and 7,500 respectively. An encroachment agreement that I thought Councillor Mellon would be interested in. There's a new owner of the land in the southeast corner of County Road 1 and Hulbert Road.
Okay.
There's a shed that's kind of close to the road there in that triangle, the site triangle. It's encroaching on the county land, so they had to make an agreement.
Oh, okay.
Apparently the shed is not that great, but you gotta do what you gotta do when lawyers get involved.
Okay.
We're still gonna have a consultant for, to look at education and SD and G. And the county also nominated Councillors McDonald and Councillor McGillis for the Eastern Ontario Regional Network Board. They both are qualified to sit on that board. It still has to go through a process of being elected on the board by the board itself. Budget was done Tuesday afternoon and Wednesday morning. It finished at a 0.74 decrease to the tax rate, which was thanks mainly to solid financial reserves that the counties had. Of course, the big three are transportation, police, and health and social services. We funded the OPP mental health services to year end. The Eastern Ontario Agri-Food Network, which is mainly based in Prescott Russell, but is now under the new direction of Tom Manley, and he's trying to expand it into SDG, Akwesasne, in the city of Cornwall, and he received $25,000 support for the project for this year. Emily 911 continues for this year. The expansion of the IT services by one, which do work for South Dundas and work with staff to support our IT here. We did support the SNC LiDAR project at counties for $20,000. Road projects in South Dundas, part of the 4-year plan. The urban section of Dundela in 18 and a part of 18 west of Williamsburg from the limits to Shell Street, so around the 2 corners to the west. The other major projects that are in South Dundas, of course, is the Morseburg streetscape, and to keep council up to par. Deputy Mayor Gardner, myself, our CAO, Rob Hunter, our EDO, Jeff Heineman, Director of Transportation, Ben DeHaan from the counties, and Mike Jans from the counties are all working on trying to make this project work within the $4.1 million envelope. It still will be a project worthy of what will happen in South Dundas. The roundabout is the main feature yet. We're trying to make mainly in front of the malls work within what we wanted as a streetscape. Mike has, I will admit, has done a fabulous job of trying to capture our ideas and come to at least put them in drawings, because it will have to go back to Robinson Consultants for the final go round. But we've had a couple meetings. we're at a place where Mike can finish up drawings, and then I think we'll have to bring it to council to have at least a look at, but you're gonna have to, we're at the point that there's gonna be some trust involved between council and the public to try to get this done, because we need to get this out as soon as possible to get it done construction-wise this year. The main project still will land up between St. Lawrence and Pilot Campbell. Counties that still want to do work beyond Campbell to Laurier, but we probably will not be doing pathways beyond that for now. The ditch fill-ins are the big crux when it comes to budget, because it's almost $1 million to do them on themselves. So we are working within the envelope, and our envelope is still $250,000. So other major projects in South Dundas, we finally have the counties doing the stretch of a road that I consider called 818, between where 18 cuts to the south and becomes part of Church Road and then stops again before it turns east again. So just the 1.5 to 2 kilometer stretch will be done this year, Councillor Wells. No, you worry. I did thank the director profusely for at least finally getting it in. I know that there will be a section that's still rough beyond that, but we'll look down the road to see if we can find funding for that. But it's gonna be a full reconstruction there. County Road 5, which is the boundary between us and North Dundas going west of Winchester Springs, they plan on doing hydrological analysis to see what they need to do on a major reconstruction to deal with the spring flooding when it does occur. The storm sewers in Princeton will be relined this year, and some patching of the upper will be done at the same time. The Hosick Creek Bridge on County Road 18 by Tolly's place has been design done to it, so they can look for reconstruction down the road. There was part of the budget was taking $50,000 and putting in reserve for the culvert on Lakeshore Drive. That is close to the end of County Road 2 that the counties have, that is starting to fail, but the counties have promised to replace. They feel confident it wasn't going to fail this year. But we did move that $50,000 instead of putting reserve to a project in South Stormont and St. Andrews, because it just made some logical sense. If that culvert needs to be done, counties have a lot of reserve funds that we can get that project done yet this year if it has to be, but for now it will not be. The only other thing that came up was that I brought a motion to County Council to ask staff to bring a policy back to council for our next meeting, that we would take any extra funds remaining after tendering a major project, except for bridges, and we usually do, not all the time, but we usually do, and any other surpluses that the roads department has, and that money will be dedicated to major road reconstruction projects that are not part of the 4-year plan. So as counties have a 4-year plan, we're into year 3 of 4, and council has been very adamant and dedicated to that plan. However, that plan does not cover some now roads that have basically fallen off the reconstruction, the easy reconstruction phase. Some of those in South Dundas would be County Road 1 between Hulbert and Irish Headline, County Road 31, County Road 5, County Road 8, County Road 7. We have enough. But there's 22 in North Stormont, North Glengarry. That's, well, 22 west of Maxville is not bad. 22 east of Maxville is terrible. So there's more than just them, but we never set a fund aside to deal with them. So I got council to approve a motion to at least look at that at our next council meeting. So I'm happy that at least we're starting to look forward to try to put some money aside on those major road reconstruction projects. That's it for county council. I'm almost equal Councillor Mellon's SNC reports, but but it was budget. I think,
3 days
Yeah, so actually it's 2, but it went well, all on WebEx too. So, you know, it presented a challenge to the warden to try to make sure everything lined up and staff were presenting the report. But for the most part, it went fairly well. So, questions, comments, concerns? Okay. Cemetery Board?
No meetings, Mayor.
Iroquois District Business Group, no. Morrisburg BIA? No. South Nation Conservation Authority?
No, yeah, we had a meeting last Thursday. The January meeting, I was unable to attend. I did send out, I hope you got it, the PDF on the minutes of that. Some of the points on their PowerPoint, they're going to be doing a virtual field trip of the Ottawa and the St. Lawrence River, and the environmental of it, the whole bit, and it's going to be available to all the schools in South Nation jurisdiction in Eastern Ontario, all the public and private and separate schools. So that's a good thing. The Natural Heritage Studies report, they'll be presenting it to the counties, I think, in March or April, after they had their public meeting. So that'll be coming to the county council attention in March or April. The community-free giveaway day, tree giveaway day, is there was Madam Clerk had asked me if we could get the trees a little bit quicker this year. Last year, and I do admit that they were a little bit on the dead side, but they'll be coming in late April, early May, and they hope to be able to get them out to the municipalities within 2 to 3 weeks, and they'll be coordinating that with us. There's $500 worth of trees per municipality. If South Dundas wants more, we can top it up. Last year we did, but that's something we can talk about. I don't believe it's in the budget. I didn't see it. Anyways, but if we want more, we can get more. And might be an issue to be able to get more because they have sold more this year or have more spoken for than ever before. So even if we wanted more, I don't know if we could get them. But that's something that council can decide if they think they would like to top up on top of the $500. They're going to have the annual flood forecasting information day. It'll be online on March 3rd from 10 to 12:30. There'll be a new member on the Source Water Protection Committee, and it's the board appointed, and it's Francois Saint-Amour, I think. And the next meeting is March 18th, and that'll be the AGM. And I did send out an email that I got about the South Nation Environmental Grant Program. It's $300 towards plants, trees, shrubs, and community garden or host community events. I believe we used it last year. Danielle and had used it last year on a project in South Dundas. So it's something that we should take advantage of. Either we're planting trees or shrubs or community gardens or something. But that grant program is now out and available. So I don't think we haven't made any progress with meeting with George Giroux, the chair. We were trying to set a meeting up with that, but we haven't really, we haven't had a chance with COVID to meet in person. I don't know if we want to try and set something up to address any of the concerns that council might have.
It is on our committee of the whole list that was presented to the mayor, so we'll get through that hopefully in the month of March or so and add it to a date.
Okay, that's about it. And you did get that PDF on the, okay, yeah, I sent it twice, and the first time, I don't know where it went to. Didn't go to you guys, but went somewhere.
La La Land.
Anyways, that's all I have, I think, Mayor. If there's any questions. Well, there is, just a minute now. Angela gave us an update on the amendments to the conservation authorities. I think we can talk about that maybe a little bit more when the one item we have pulled is brought forward in the agenda, later in our agenda here. In Conservation Ontario, we had a report or a letter in there on the Drainage Act regulation and proposals. I believe you sat in on that webinar or seminar. Mayor Byvells, they gave us sort of a breakdown on some of the recommendations and comments and whatnot in that letter. So it was good. I think most of that in there is good. I think actually some of the comments you had made, Mayor Byvells, were sort of echoed in that letter as far as minor drainage work done, or anybody wants to pay for realignment of drains on private land and stuff like that. But anyways, yeah, that was in the agenda also, just an update or correspondence on that. But yeah.
Okay, any comments, questions, concerns? Councilor Mellon? Thank you very much. Motion Waterfront?
Yes, there was a meeting. I unfortunately wasn't able to attend because my laptop did not like the platform they selected for the meeting. I believe that the entire meeting was about the presentation that got pulled today.
Okay. Airport Waterfront Committee is this Thursday. You have the minutes within your council package. South Branch Committee. Councilor Mellon?
No, sorry, nothing. We haven't had a meeting. No.
Carmen House? No. Dundas County Archives? No. Tourism Advisory?
We had, I don't know if we even had quorum. It was February 9th. There were a couple of members that felt that the streetscape project was not going to happen. So we had to have a quick discussion about that, and also a discussion about the European Christmas market that is being discussed.
Okay. Economic Development?
No.
Doctor Advisory?
February 3rd, fairly quick meeting, eh? And just around requiring some metrics around doctor recruitment as far as what doctors would expect if they join our current clinic.
Okay. Any questions, comments, concerns? Thank you. Key information report on Memorial Bench Policy Update. Danielle?
Thank you, Mayor. So in front of you this evening, Council, is just an update to our memorial bench policy. Staff have been receiving quite a few requests from the public to add memorial trees to our existing memorial bench policy. So currently, the existing policy only allows for memorial benches to be installed with plaques, or plaques to be installed on existing benches that the municipality owns. We do not have a policy for trees. However, as I said, we have been getting quite a few individuals who have been requesting to be able to donate a tree in memorial of someone who's passed away, or in memory of someone who's made a difference in the community. So this policy update, and council can see attached, all we've simply added is trees to the policy. In speaking with our Parks and Recreation staff and our arborists, there are specific trees that we do have a list that we will be planting, ensuring that we are sticking to native species of the area, so we won't be introducing any invasive or difficult to repair and maintain trees. The trees also would be entitled to have a plaque installed, not obviously on the tree, but at the base of the tree. Similar projects have been done in the city of Cornwall, and they can be found along the waterfront pathway in the city of Cornwall. If anybody has any questions, I can answer them at this time.
Okay, comments, concerns? Deputy Mayor Gardner?
Thanks, Mayor Byvelds. No, I think this is an amazing addition. I think that it's twofold, right? It builds community engagement, but it also will replenish some of the trees we've lost through Emerald Ash Borer. Quick question, though, I didn't see it in there, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't in there. I know you speak specific to the species, but do you speak specific to the size of the tree? Because I would hope that you'd want a fairly well-advanced tree just for survivability. I don't know if that would be part of the consideration.
Yes, so through you, Mayor Byvelds, the types of trees that we would select would be large caliper trees. So they would be probably anywhere from 3 to 4 feet tall when we purchase them. So this memorial tree would be not a significant investment, but it wouldn't be a small seedling that we would plant. It would be a significant tree.
Yeah, I didn't think so, but I just thought I'd check. Thank you.
Councilor Wells?
I have no questions, Mayor.
No questions, Mayor. Maybe I missed it, Danielle, I was writing here, but I like the whole idea. I think it's really great. I've seen it done in other areas and locations. A lot of people much sooner plant a tree than a bench. But is there going to be a plaque involved with this? And would that be at the cost of the donor too? And a plaque on the tree or at the bottom of the tree or wherever?
So through you, Mayor Byvelds, the municipality would install the plaque at the base of the tree. We would do some wood chips along the base to keep the moisture retention in the root system. And at the base, there would be a plaque that would be installed in the ground. Unfortunately, I didn't have a picture to put in the report, but it would be difficult to remove, so it would be very difficult to steal. But yeah, so the donor would donate for the tree and the plaque. Some donors don't necessarily want a plaque, they just want to donate a tree in memorial. So it would be up to the donor to decide if they wanted a tree and a plaque, or if they just wanted a tree.
Okay.
Okay, I think good idea, Danielle, to add trees to this policy. I was, like mine with Deputy Gardner on size. I think the size has to be, fairly well. I think best thing to do is just state it in the policy and then it's done, because someone comes in with a little sapling and say, this is my memorial tree, and you're gonna say, well, it doesn't work, so. But other than that, I think it's a great idea. Anything else from council? Okay, thank you. Infrastructure coordinator position. CEO or Danielle?
Yep, I'll let Danielle take.
Danielle, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Byvelds. So council has discussed this position in the past. So for clarification, this is not a new position. This is just utilizing the pre-existing drainage superintendent position that we had posted and renaming it and giving it a few more responsibilities. We did go out for a drainage superintendent position. We did do some interviews and we got some feedback from the candidates that perhaps if they were to join the municipality, they'd be looking for some additional responsibilities, not necessarily just with drainage, but some other items as well. So we have revamped the drainage superintendent position. We've kept the wage level the exact same, and we've just retitled it and added primary and secondary responsibilities, with the primary responsibilities being drainage and the secondary responsibilities being in the water and roadside programs. So this individual, once their drainage responsibilities are completed, they would then assist with large capital infrastructure projects in the water and roads departments. If anybody has any questions, I'd be willing to answer them at this point.
Mayor Gardner.
Thanks, Mayor Byvelds. I think this is a good example of how, with the new positions, we're really looking to fill the service gaps. And I think kudos to kind of have a second look and then rejig it. I think it's important to get the right person for the job that's going to do the duties that we need. And I think expanding the role is a good move. So I think it's good. I think I know that sometimes the hiring practice is to just get a warm body in the spot, and that backfires. So I like the fact that there's been some conversation and to rejig it, and I think it's really good.
Councilor Wells.
No, I read the new proposal for the planner. There's a lot of stuff on there. At the end, I like the piece at the end there where it just says about it doesn't necessarily mean the whole job description, but anyway, no, I'm all good. Like we need a planner, so it's straightforward. Thank you.
No, I have no questions. I think we had a very lengthy discussion on this position.
Councilor
Yeah, I like the idea that we're branching out and, capturing some other duties that might attract somebody. The secondary responsibilities, I like the idea that, you know, primary responsibility would be drainage, but the secondary responsibility, prepare plans for roadside ditching, brushing in areas identified as having poor drainage or surface. And there's the next couple line down where assist in water, sewer breaks. Will there not be somewhat of an overlapping between public works with identifying roadside ditching and brushing in areas identified as having poor drainage? And, you know, from public works, and then, you know, and then with the, you know, assisting in water main breaks, you know, is there, I guess, the chain of command down through, because who's going to be reporting to who? Like, I mean, you know, we're going to have somebody going out looking at our roadside ditching, and then, you know, reporting to you, Danielle, and then somebody reporting to Jeff, or, you know, I just don't want that to get, you know, well, it wasn't my job because I thought they were looking after it. So that'd be the only area I have a concern. Make sure that this is coordinated between yourself, Public Works, and our water and sewer plant operator, Dennis.
So through you,
Your
Mayor
comment?
Fivelts, to address that. So we, myself, Jeff, and Dennis have sat down and we have discussed this position in depth. So we all do understand what this individual will be responsible for. Jeff, myself, and Dennis do have a very good working relationship, and we do already work a lot on programs together. So this person would still be reporting to myself at this time, but receiving work from other departments as needed. But like we said, primarily they're doing drainage, and then if they have time, mainly during the periods where we cannot do drainage work, so that window that is identified by OMAFRA and the DFO, they would be helping in other departments where we might have someone on vacation, or we might have a retirement or whatnot, just to fill the gaps until those positions can be filled. It's more of a contingency position in those departments than a full-time replacement position for someone existing in those departments, to clarify.
If staff, you guys are aware of the concern and the overlap, and if you've had the discussion, I will trust that the three departments, I guess, will merge as one, or, you know, make it work, because I don't want, you know, it to get, no, that wasn't my job, sort of thing. So, yeah, okay.
Okay. I likewise have some of those concerns, and I know we don't work in silos, but there's some overlapping here that there's already responsibility by some personnel that we're asking this person to take over, so I think that's a concern to me. However, I think the first 2 years drainage will be number one and take up a lot of responsibility and time. We all recognize that we need to get that done and dealt with, and if this supports attracting a person that fits the bill and knows what he or she needs to do, then I'm all for it. I think it may be the right time to go out and look for some young person looking for a new adventure, and this is a good starting step for sure. So I'm good. Okay. Thank you. Next item, we are going past the communications plan for a committee of the whole meeting. Somebody from Bell Canada reached out to me last week concerning support of a letter of support so they can go after the universal broadband fund that the federal government is putting out to companies. So I did reach out to this gentleman. I did send the email out to council. He was looking, they're looking at putting fiber into South Dundas, but very specific area, and that specific area for South Dundas so happens to be the 989 area exchange code, which is South Mountain, Hulbert, Pleasant Valley area, and I know Councillor Mellon's smiling, and he might have the best internet in the world by the time this gets done if it works, but they are still working on other plans in South Dundas, including the village of Morrisburg. So fiber is the ultimate in broadband capacity, there's no doubt about it. He did talk about other possibilities of other areas in South Dundas using their wireless cell network, but I think after reaching out to him and having a discussion that I know it affects North Dundas also, but for us to send a letter of support for Bell Canada to put fiber into South Dundas, I think is a smart move on this part of this council. We need more broadband in South Dundas. If this is the start, and we've got to start in that corner, then so be it. It'll trickle down eventually. That's the way I look at it. But I was actually surprised when he started talking about the northeast corner and Halbert and Pleasant Valley. And I said, okay, I know where that is. He was from Toronto, so I do have a motion here that the clerk will read.
Moved by Councillor Wells, second by Councillor Mellon, that council support Bell Canada's application to the Universal Broadband Fund to improve broadband access that supports the connectivity of residents, institutions, and businesses in South Dundas, and that a letter of support of the application be provided as requested.
So any comments from council?
I had 2 calls drop last week to video conferencing. I had to go on the phone. So, hey, whoever wants to come in and give our rural and apparently our in-village residents a shot at better internet, I say hear, hear.
Councillor Wells?
I'm good. Thank you.
Councillor Mellon, any comments?
When I first read the report until I saw where it was going, I thought, okay, where are we looking at? We're looking at, the more built-up areas.
No, I don't worry. It's my thinking. Go ahead.
But when I saw Halbert and Pleasant Valley, I said, okay, let's get this on the road. And it's great, back in our area because it's really pathetic back there. We've changed internet providers here we're not that much better. So it's a start, and let's hope it spreads out to, bigger hamlet areas, than Halbert and Pleasant Valley, but it's a start because it will pick up South Dundas or North Dundas a little bit back in that corner. So, if they, because there's a lot of areas in South Dundas that needs better Wi-Fi and internet service. So, yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
I know Councillor Armstrong or Deputy Mayor Armstrong at County Council was berating Eastern Ontario Regional Network for not getting service up in the South Mountain. Then I got this letter. I said, well, somebody's been talking, so
Yeah.
we're good. You're right. We need better broadband. This is just a start, and if this is if it just takes a simple letter, then we'll do so. I know the letter needs some work by Kaylin and our communications department to fix up, but I think it's a good idea. Anything further? Seeing none, all heard motion. Those in favor, opposed if any, motion carries. Okay, the next one that I had asked to be pulled was from the Township of Baldwin, Town of Gravenhurst, concerning, and from the our Director of Fire Emergency Services, Chief Moorhouse, concerning the Ontario Fire College closure. So I asked Chief Moorhouse to come to council and explain the closure and his concern. So, Cameron?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. On this,
Shut the video off, just talk.
had a number of
Apparently fiber optics not there.
No. Cameron, if you can shut the video off and just speak, we might hear you because it's breaking
fiber
up.
optics out here. Okay, I did shut it off.
Yeah,
hope
I can hear you
me
now better.
Thank you. So as the mayor said, back on January 28th, we all got all the fire chiefs across the province got a invite just to hear what the Ontario Fire Marshal Pegg had a meeting. We were kind of surprised and shocked when he announced that the Ontario Fire College would be closing at the end of March. So I have in my letter some of the concerns from the Ontario Association of Fire Chiefs and the Ontario Municipal Fire Prevention Officers Association, which I'm a member of both, and both have had meetings on this. Again, the lack of coordination, the lack of the working together when this announcement came up, it kind of took us all by surprise. Again, about 2 or 3 years ago, the Office of the Fire College did go to blended learning, which is online. Again, you guys, the council was just speaking about Wi-Fi and the availability of it across the province. I know I've worked in Renfrew and Lanark counties where it was very poor due to terrain, due to other things that they just didn't have the service. So this is kind of going to hit a lot of fire departments in a lot of different ways. As I say in my report, the closest two regional training centers or the RTCs are Lyndhurst and Rockland. They do accommodate the paid on call or the volunteer firefighters. They do have the courses or that they do host on nights and weekends, but it's not going to be the same. We feel that even with the announcements of the two live portable live burns units, that trying to get them spread out across the province where they're going to be, just a lot of questions that seem to be or are not. I shouldn't say seem to be, but they're just not answered at this time. So I would ask council to support the motion to not to close the college. I understand that we all want to move forward in the progression of education for our firefighters. And if you have any more questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, I'll ask the clerk to read the motion and council can discuss it. Please.
Moved by Councillor Mellon, second by Councillor Wells, that council supports the request from the Township of Baldwin and Town of Gravenhurst to the Province of Ontario regarding the closure of the Ontario Fire College in Gravenhurst.
Okay, so you've heard our fire chief's comments on that, Deputy Mayor Gardner.
Yeah, I mean, not having a physical college for folks to go to, at least part of the time, is problematic until the equity with rural internet is solved. It really is. And I think there's collaboration and teamwork and that type of thing that can't be done online. And I'm also concerned about, having these conversations and consulting before making this decision. I think there's a little lacking in that, so I have no problem supporting this.
Councillor Wells?
Yeah, I agree with Deputy Mayor Gardner. It seems like this all came very quick. I'm sure out of all the municipalities, everyone will be supporting, because every municipality has a fire department. So I'm all in favor of supporting this too. Thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Lewis?
I think in this case, you learn more in a classroom than what you do on a website. So I definitely will support this 110%.
Councillor Mellon?
One of the most disturbing things in this report is the lack of consulting with the fire service stakeholders. I mean, let's face it, our small rural municipalities are the ones that rely on volunteer or part-time firefighters, if you will. And something like this really hits at the heart of the training, and it's sort of discouraging that the government would do that without, proper discussion and whatnot, and looking at other alternatives. So yes, I definitely think we need to support this.
Yeah, and that's the reason I brought it to council. I think it's important. I know that the government's challenged with funding, but this is something that is an important education tool for firefighters across Ontario. So, all heard the motion. Those in favor, opposed, if any, motion carries. Okay, the next one is a letter from Perth South. Trying to find there it is. So on page 105, concerning the working group that the Ontario province announced to better focus conservation authorities. Perth South apparently has not been happy with their relationship with their conservation authority, and was hoping that this the new way of conservation authorities working with municipalities was a way of making it go forward. But their concern is, and I agree with their concern, is that the committee itself is mainly made up of Conservation Authority general managers. So it's like having the fox keep an eye on the chicken house and how it goes. So I think after reading it, I think that's something that, we've had some challenges with our CA and how our working relationship we've built with them. I think we should at least allow the government's thinking to go through and see how it goes. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect, and I do believe it'll probably have to have some adjustments, but to go forward the way they are, I was concerned, and Perth South has put it in a letter, and I'd like to support it. So in that vein, I will ask the clerk to read the motion, and then we'll debate it.
Moved by Councillor Wells, second by Councillor Mellon, that council support the Township of Perth South's request to clarify the full intent and scope for the working group to review conservation authorities as per Bill 229.
So I'll turn it over to Councillor Mellon first as our CA board member, and his thoughts and concerns and whether we should go forward with it.
Thank you, Mayor Byveld. Look, we had a very, Angela gave us a very brief, I guess, update, if you will, on amendments to the Conservation Authority and what maybe effect it would have on South Nation. I will say the South Nation is doing some things already that they're asking for. In this letter from South Perth South, brings up a lot of other points that I have been, the core mandate programs and, and I've asked about this, and I know, yourself, Mayor Byveld, we've had this discussion about, where these programs are going to go, and that's one reason why we wanted to have a meeting with the chair of South Nation. And I think there's some very good points in here, I think, that need to be answered, and I agree that, setting up that advisory committee or group, working group, or whatever you want to call them, with mainly Conservation Authority, CAs and whatnot, it leaves a little bit to desired. I know that I had reported probably 3 months ago that this working group was in the process of being set up. I didn't realize how it was being set up. And, so I think there needs to be a little bit more balance. There should be more balance in there, so everybody's point is brought into that discussion in those working groups, so that, because they're going to come back with a report that you can just imagine what the report's going to come back looking like, and it's going to probably cause more questions than answers. So anyways, yeah, I can support this very easily, Mayor Byveld, and I may reach out actually to South Nation with these lists here and just maybe get their reply or their opinion on what, South Perth South, just to see, and bring something up, at South Nation. But yeah, I think there's some definite answers need to be brought forward.
Councillor Lewis?
I think the government should have a little more to say in this. I know this council has had different opinions with some of the decisions that the South Nation makes, and I will definitely support this.
Councillor Wells?
Yeah, I went through everything on this. There's a lot of good points, and like Councillor Mellon alluded to, that if South Nation is stepping up a little bit. There's more work to be done with it, but at the end of the day, I would definitely support this, Mayor. Thank you.
Yeah, Mayor Gardner?
I support this wholeheartedly. I mean, there's a formula that's used to have effective working groups, and it's always speaks to equity and also diversity at the table. And anytime you don't have diversity and different groups represented, you're basically steering the conversation one way. So I, in any instance, believe that there needs to be different representation. It works well at our council table, and I think this is great, and I wholeheartedly support this.
Okay, now don't get me wrong, I know South Nation does a lot of good work, and it sounds like we're bashing them. However, there's ways we can work together better, and the province is trying to establish those betterments as we go along. I know there's a big challenge with the minister's zoning orders and the minister's orders on floodplain, and I have some concerns myself too, because building in floodplains is not something that I would like to see happen. However, if the province has requested the CAs to come up with a new way of working with municipalities, they should be a bit more open to it than closing up shop and saying, no, we're going to been doing it this way for a long time, we're going to continue on. I think there's, you know, and I can't understand why the minister has appointed so many CA general managers to this committee, so he must have a rhyme or reason. We'll see where it goes, but once I seen the letter from Burst Out, I thought that was something that we could at least support and let them know that they're not the only one out there thinking that change is required. Yes, Deputy Mayor.
My comments actually don't speak to South Nation in particular. I think it's process in general. This is the second letter that we've reviewed where basically consultation of anyone other than whoever is being ignored. So my comments are specific to the process. I think they need to be as inclusive as possible.
Yeah, and I still welcome Chairman George to come and have a conversation with us. And then we'll see where we go. Well, you know, in the end, there's lots of things that South Dundas and South Nation can work on together that are outside the core mandate. It's just a matter of negotiation and who does what and how we're going to pay for it. So, anything else? Seeing none, all heard the motion. Those in favor, opposed if any, motion carries. Okay, update on truck 103. Jeff gonna do that, or you? Nope, Jeff, go ahead, Jeff.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So, as you're aware, through an email that was sent out to Council and staff, the morning of February 16th, we received the heavy snow. Unfortunately, we had a truck 103 go in the ditch. It ended up going on its side. The operator was taken to the hospital for a look over. And was released in the noon hour. He has since returned the next day back to regular shift. So the truck presently is in Kempville at Brush Truck Center, getting repaired. It's having its frame straightened. When it rolled over on its side, it put a little bit of extra stress on the passenger side of the vehicle, caused it to do a little twist. They feel very confident that that will straighten. It has some suspension tweaking for when they pulled it back upright. The wing, the top wing arm needs to be replaced. There's no structural damage as they can tell right now. It's all cosmetic. No windshields or glass in the windows were broken, so that's a good indicator that the frame and the cab is not twisted, which is a very good sign. Other than that, the driver obviously was a little shooken up, but like I said, he has since returned to work, and the truck will get repaired. If there's any more questions at this time, I'll definitely do my best to try to answer them.
Okay, Jeff, I think a couple things. One thing would be, how long will the truck be out of service?
They're guesstimating based on parts 2 to 3 weeks.
It's not bad. So you have a spare truck, I understand, in the snowplow area. Landfill, dealing with the roll-off bins. We've gone to Plan B there.
So as soon as the incident happened, I contacted Danielle with Environmental Services and informed her of what has happened. We have since emptied the bins, so they're sitting empty. So she has now gone to Plan B. And once that truck returns, we'll get it back into service and we'll get the bins back up and going again.
Okay, and is there any kind of debrief or looking at the incident and how we can manage things better to avoid this kind of headache?
And I went to the scene, and where it happened is just east of County Road 16 on Rowena, where it goes from a secured treed area into those two big wide open fields. The wind was blowing east or north to south, and the words of my operator was, it felt like he was driving in the twilight zone. The snow was blowing and it was coming right at him in the windshield, and the truck just lost track of the road.
Okay.
So it wasn't a driver error. I had him on GPS, and he was doing 25 kilometers an hour. So he wasn't speeding. He wasn't acting recklessly. It was just a weather event, and there's no better way of telling you that, Mr. Mayor. It was just strictly a weather event.
Okay, in my humble opinion, I know that was a very snowy morning from what I seen in my weather app and what I seen when I got up, that maybe there's potential of keeping our trucks off the road in those kind of events. That, you know, I can understand that it's hard enough to drive a car in heavy snow, let alone a snowplow that's blowing snow, and with snow at an accumulation rate of what it was doing at that time. So, my thoughts.
And this happened at, sorry, Mayor, this happened at 4 a.m. So it was well on its way.
Yeah, well, it's dark and it's snowing. It's hard to drive. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, Mayor Gardner.
Thanks, Mayor Byvelds. That actually, the mayor's last question about, first off, I'm glad that the driver was okay. That's the important part of this. But just, do we have a formal process when there's an incident of reviewing everything, including the actual occurrence, but reviewing the weather conditions, the road conditions in other cases? Like, do we have a more thorough approach than just as you've described?
So when a vehicle goes in the ditch, obviously I review it. Vehicles don't go in the ditch on a sunny day. There's always a weather event which causes that to happen. So if you see our past tow calls, it was the snowstorm before that. We had a vehicle end up in the ditch, and we had to get them towed out. They lose track of sight, and I wish I could take you for a ride in the vehicle during a snowstorm, and you would get a better appreciation of what they are seeing. I'm not doubting that you don't understand what they're doing, but I've been in it, I've been in the seat, and it is, you're gripping the wheel and you're wondering where is the shoulder of the road, because you're looking for landmarks. But I did review it, and I have seen the weather reports leading up to it, and my guys are fully aware that when they're called at 3 o'clock in the morning, it's a challenge for them to get to work, and I appreciate that.
So it's just my thought on it, and you're right, I've never sat in a snowplow. However, I have done a lot of driving when I probably should have stayed off the road. And I know that when there's a snow event, yes, there are some people that absolutely have to go where they need to go, but the rest of the world is told to stay off the roads until they clear up. And I'm just wondering if there's a long line of incidents around these major weather events where the snow is accumulating at a high rate of speed anyway. I'm just curious to know if the plow is actually making a difference. Because, 4 o'clock in the morning, you're having low traffic anyway, right? And, if the end result is our plows are going in the ditches, and, it's good that the driver was not injured this time around. However, if the driver sustained a major injury, there would be an even further discussion about timing for these things. So I'm trying to be proactive in the sense that maybe we can have a look at how we review that, and whether or not, because knock on wood, haven't had any instances, but if we were having this discussion and the driver was in hospital for a week, it would trigger that a response where we would really look heavy at the 4 o'clock going out in a major critical snowstorm where maybe it's not safe to operate even a plow.
I totally agree with you. It's unfortunate that this is the line of work that we're in. When the radio is telling everybody to stay home, I'm calling my guys to come into work. because there is that one person, frontline worker, it doesn't matter, that they want to go to work and and the phone would just ring off the hook. If we delayed it, and I hate to say it, the phone would ring off the hook, why aren't your plows out? This is unnecessary, this is a total lack of respect on the municipality's part, and I received it. I received those phone calls. So it's a double-edged sword, and I don't know what the right answer is.
Shannon?
One thing, as part of this discussion that we will be bringing back in the summer would be a winter maintenance policy or program. A lot of municipalities around us have a program that speaks to everything when it comes to winter maintenance, why our plows go out, what conditions they go out into. So that will be more of a discussion we'll have with council hopefully in the summertime, so that we can have those discussions and have those plans available for, so if we get those phone calls, we've got a policy in place that protects not only Jeff and his crew, but the municipality as a whole as well.
Well, and just to be clear, I have a family full of first responders, so I understand people's their necessity to get to work. But I'm questioning the effectiveness, right? If it's so bad that the visibility is bad, you're probably, unless you're the one driving right behind the plow, the rest of the cars may not even be able to tell that a plow is there. So that's my comment on that.
Councilor Wells?
Yes. Now I'm a little different because I have run a snowplow. And situations like that, you get like, it's almost like it's like a tunnel, like when you're going out. Like I know when I used to plow, I always myself, just maybe a recommendation, I don't know what you tell your drivers, any road I ever went on, I started in the center of the road, especially when it's really, really bad. I know there's, as far as your cleanup at the end, there's more. You're opening the road up just to try to stay to one side. That was myself. I was never told to do that. I just felt more safe if I was in the middle of the road. Going to Deputy Mayor's comments and stuff, there's a point where, like I know there was one time we let it go, that the snow accumulated. I think, and going to Shannon's about a policy, that we get out there, I think when you get to a certain point, like 5 centimeters, like if you let it go to like 10, 12, you're asking for trouble. I know at the end of the day, and this council said it, try to save money, which we all want to do, but there's a point.
Careful what you say, Councillor Wells. You say that a lot.
Well, I know, but like in not all the time you're going to get a February 16th storm like we did that day. In general, like it's usually if you get out, you do your first pass and you get things open up somewhat. Then the next day, once it's done, everyone always does a cleanup. That's when you're in snow plowing, you got your plowing, then you got your cleanup. But like in the main thing, the driver wasn't hurt, which is good. But I can see how that can happen because I've been in a plow. So it's just something that nature happened. Unfortunately, it did. There's a lot of people that have to go to work. My daughter she's a nurse. She's like, when she's called to go in to work, they're like, she has to get to work. And actually she even called me because apparently she was sleeping when the cleanup wasn't done. And she said, what kind of policy do you guys have? Because I can't I said, actually I told her to call you, Jeff. But anyways, at the end of the day, I think it's something that we can achieve, and a policy to protect ourselves and protect the drivers, the employees, and the whole bit. But there's always going to be that one incident where nature takes over things, whether we have a policy or not, it wouldn't matter. But at the end of the day, he's safe, everything's back to normal, and the truck will be back in a couple weeks, so it's all good. Thank you.
Councilor Lewis?
I remember that morning very well. I missed my coffee because I wasn't going out on the road. Thank God the driver wasn't hurt seriously. I know what the roads were like. It was bad in town. And I know about the visibility. When you're sitting up there 4 feet higher than you are in a car, it's a whole brand new world out there. Because I used to work for a trucking company way back when, and in the wintertime when it was snowing, you better make sure that you're alert and you're not going that fast. But thank God there was the driver wasn't hurt, and the truck can be fixed. And at the end of the day, that's all right. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman
Yeah, myself also, like Councillor Wells, when I was 18, and that's many, many years ago, I drove plow trucks in Toronto, and back in those days, I drove by sound, and when I heard the fenders of the cars rattling, I got over. But that was just good old days when you were 18, country boy, you didn't care. But you're damned if you do and damned if you don't, Jeff. I can totally understand and sympathize with you. Like, I've had the phone calls over the years from milk truck drivers and milk companies and the farmers, why isn't the roads plowed, and, and you try and get around and get it as much done as you can, and you're going to run into those sectional whiteouts, like you say. The area, there's certain areas where all of a sudden you'll have zero visibility, and you'll be just like driving from the closet into the living room. And as far as, a policy as to when the trucks can go out and whatnot, and as the conditions get worse, I think, maybe we can, have some kind of, I don't know, scale that the drivers can make the call or yourself can make the call. It's just too dangerous. I've seen lots of times when the plows get pulled off the road because it's just too dangerous for them out there. They're probably going to do more harm than good, running over cars. Those calls are going to have to be made from time to time. We can look at how we regulate or how we want to judge that, but it's going to be hard to judge, especially if you have those sectional whiteouts where, you could be going good for 95% of the route, and then all of a sudden you're going to end up 5% of the route's going to be real bad. So we can look at that, and maybe give the drivers some, I don't know, leeway, and they can call in and say, hey, this is too dangerous, I can't see. And maybe, at that point we can, it's a judgment call, between the drivers, yourself, whoever's on making the call that morning, sort of, that might be one mechanism that we can look at, when it gets just too dangerous to be out on the road. So my only other thing, when you mentioned that the frame is being straightened, this is the newest truck we got, isn't it? Yeah, of course, wouldn't be another one. Was there any idea of writing that truck off? Because when I hear frame being straightened, I get the hairs go up on my back a little bit. Like, is somebody going to give us a guarantee that sucker's going to be straight and it's going to track? I don't want to look at our plow truck, our new plow truck going down the road, dog walking down the road.
No, it'll come back from Rush. It'll come back from Rush. And when I say straightened, it was just tweaked the ever so bit from just going over on its side. And when they towed it, when they rolled it back over onto its wheels, it more or less got stretched, if that's the polite way of putting it. And the torsion arms kind of got out of place. So my mechanic, as well as Rush, feels that once it gets unbolted, it'll snap right back into place.
Okay. Did the truck run very long on its side? Engine
No,
noise?
it got shut off immediately.
Okay. It better be fixed, where is it being fixed? In Ottawa Freightliner?
No, Rush and Kempfel, the old Tallman Truck Center.
Kempfel Truck Center, okay. Yeah. It is what it is. Let's drive on. I don't know.
Yes, Clerk Runt.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just so a clarification, Councillor Mellon, insurance was called and the appraiser did come. We just didn't guess.
I'm a little apprehensive on our fire truck. Was a bad pill to swallow. How close was it to being rode off? Did they give us any idea? But
who
we
you talking to
probably
me?
wouldn't have the truck back on the road in 2 or 3 weeks, would we? No.
No, it's not even, when the appraiser came to look at it, he didn't even remotely mention write-off. He says, we could fix this up, no problem at all.
Okay.
If I may add, Mayor Bible, you're well aware, and council and Deputy Mayor is well aware that this is a roll-off truck. The box is supposed to roll off of a chassis, and that salt container stayed on the truck when it was laying on its side. So I called Gincor and I told them that whoever their engineering firm is, they designed a good product, a great product, because they never once separated, the salt box never separated from the truck itself.
I guess that's good, yeah.
Okay, well, any incident, we always have to learn lessons, and, and there's some lessons we talked about tonight, and, is making sure, and I agree with council, it's good that the driver is good and back and going again. However, I don't want to put my drivers in jeopardy in a dark night to clear roads if the conditions aren't safe enough for them to do so. And I think part of the policy when we do discuss it, and with North Dundas, this is where it came from. North Dundas has had their new public works manager do it. It's a 55-page document or something. So ours would, you can copy and paste a lot of it, but there's a few things I'd want to change. They actually run 2 shifts now, so that's a totally different ball game. But I think the people of South Dundas appreciate the plows are out at 4 o'clock, and the majority of the roads are passable by 7, 8 o'clock. However, there are times when that attainment may or may not be able to be attained. If it's, in a blinding snowstorm, the last thing I want is our men on the road to prove that we can do it. And that's not smart thinking on anybody's part. If a snowplow shouldn't be on the road, you shouldn't be on the road. Simple as that. And I know people got to get to work, but we can't be providing 100% service all the time if it puts people's lives in jeopardy and the safety of our crew. So something, I know there is a statement in there that speaks to it, so when that's brought to council, we can have that debate. As I said, no disrespect to the crew. I know that I can be pretty confident that anybody can get out by 8 o'clock in the morning, South Dundas, but there are times we have to be smart about the rule, make sure it works. Daylight is a heck of a lot easier to drive in than pitch black at 4 o'clock in the morning. So, anything further? Okay, thank you. No notices of motion tonight, Madam Clerk?
No, sir.
Okay, so before we read the next motion, we'll be going into closed session. So I'd like to thank council so far for their participation. Thank all staff for everything they've provided to us so far for information. I'd like to thank the audience for participating in our meeting tonight. There will be no new business after the closed session except for the ratification bylaw. So this will be the end of our recording for this evening. So thank